everybody. My name is Kate Hooven. Thank you so much for being here. This is my first live broadcast. I'm not very technologically savvy, so the fact that this is even happening is kind of exciting for me. A little bit about myself. I'm the mother of 3 amazing kids, and my middle son, Brian, has an autism diagnosis. So I started a blog about Brian and our family's adventure about 7 years ago. Want to give a shout out to him, just so you know, anything I share with him on my blog. I also am a trainer for in Pennsylvania for law enforcement first responders. Any stories I share with you today or anytime about Ryan are all shared with his permission. He does keep asking when he's going to get paid, so I don't think that's probably going to happen, but we just buy him lots of treats and he's happy. First, he doesn't mind us sharing. So I just think it's important anytime we're talking about our kids that, we're respecting their privacy. And if there's something that, I wouldn't share about my older kids who don't have an autism diagnosis, I wouldn't share that about Ryan. I have been writing, like I said, my blog called The Honesty of Autism for about 7 years. I have been fortunate enough to share some of my stories with the Mighty, which is really exciting and really great. So why would I do a live event about parenting from a distance? Well, it's kind of funny because my son Ryan, as I mentioned, he just left for college 6 days ago. So you're probably thinking 6 days? I mean, really, what could this lady have learned in 6 days parenting from a distance? For most of you who are parenting a kiddo with autism or any other kind of disability, we know that they are our teachers, right? And they teach us so much. And I have learned so much from Ryan in just these 6 days that he has been gone. First of all, I just said that my autistic son is at college. That's huge, right? I mean, think about just a few short decades ago, that probably isn't something that would have happened. We were told, there wouldn't have been those chances for these kids. There are colleges, for those of you who may not know, that actually have specific programming and supports and resources for our autistic students, which is really incredible. Those supports are helping with some of that executive functioning. Speaking of executive functioning, I'm sure as many of you may know that children with autism or adults with autism often have a struggle with that executive functioning skills, planning, sequencing, time management. Well, that's kind of a big deal with college, right? That's a big deal for them. They have to kind of learn that stuff. Well, I will tell you, for all of those years that Ryan was struggling with those executive functioning, I was sort of the executive of his executive functioning skills. So having him going away and me kind of having to sort of plant that helicopter, as those of you who know, we sort of helicopter and hover over these kids because we're like, wow, is this going to work? Isn't it going to work? Got to take a deep breath. Got to land that helicopter on a helipad somewhere else, right? Because they're ready to take off kind of on their own. And it has been amazing. But prior to him going, I will tell you, hey, dude, did you check your emails, your college emails? Nope. Hey, what do we should pack? What do you think you want to pack and take to college? I don't care. So guess what? What did mom do? I stepped in. Isn't that what we always do? I was checking his emails. I was finding out what supplies. I was checking his books. I was helping him figure out what classes to schedule. That doesn't help him, does it, right? So now I'm not there. And I know there are plenty of kids who whether they have a disability or not, moms are the decorators, right? They want to buy the cool stuff and make the room look good. For my son who has autism, who of course likes things to remain the same, he wanted the same sheets, the same bedding. So we had our tasks, but it was, I had to kind of switch. He has got to college, and in that amount of time, it's like a switch just went on. And it would appear, as in case you weren't following along, that I am the switch that has now gone off. He has been checking emails. He has been responding beautifully to professors. And I'm still kind of like checking in on the email going, yep, he's responding. He got up for class on his own. He's not only surviving, he is thriving. Without me. I mean, really, how rude, right? I know there's going to still be some bumps in the road. Like I said, he's been there for 6 days, right? So certainly, will it go as smoothly as it has? I just said to his brother, I'm like, I know he's doing great. And he loves being independent. And unfortunately, with these COVID times, I'm on the Facebook page of his university and I see all these parents going, oh my gosh, my kid's so lonely. He hates that he can't go out and he's not doing things. Well, for my son, he's done wonderfully because he just wanted to be independent and he's not worried about those social outings that we often think of with college. That's not to say every, college student with autism isn't craving that, but for my kid, it's been okay. So I have had to learn at distancing from a parent from afar about 70 miles away that it's time for me to kind of land that helicopter that was always hovering over him a little farther away and let him sort of take it from here. So as I mentioned, 6 days, right? What could I possibly learn in 6 days? Well, I'm going to give you 10 sort of tips that I have learned, again, as Ryan, as my teacher. First of all, trust. Yep, he's 18 years old. He took the SATs. He got into a 4-year college. In fact, he got accepted into 2 4-year colleges, the only 2 he applied for. I have to back up and accept and trust him that he can handle this, that he can do this. Is this hard for the mom who was always advocating at the IEP meetings, who was always, when he didn't get an assignment done, the teacher's emailing mom, Ryan didn't seem really checked in today. So what are we going to do, right? How are we going to help him? I was, again, the executive of his executive functioning. So I'm not there anymore. So when my helicopter pilot sort of starts to get itchy and I want to fire it up and hover over again, I got to find somewhere else to hover over. And I have a 14-year-old daughter and she's now being hovered over, which she really does not appreciate. Second thing, I may have mentioned there that Ryan had a college email. And like I said, he's not checking it. There's all this information, especially in these COVID times. Hey, everybody who's saying hi, hello from Canada. Great to see you. Thank you for joining on. Anybody who's just stopping in, my name is Kate. We're talking about sort of distancing, how to helicopter or how to parent these kids from a distance when they are away, whether that's college or moving into an apartment. So trying to land our helicopter elsewhere. So as I mentioned, the second thing, I got to back out of his email. My girlfriend said, keep checking it for about a week, and then you got to get the heck out of his email, which I find myself I'm here working, and I'm just look and see if there's anything there from the professor. See if he's missing anything. What if a professor sent an email and he didn't check it? What, have you sometimes checked an email and you've opened up maybe when you're in the grocery store and you're like, I'll get back to that later, right? Oh, and then you forget, and something's due or something's late. Not the end of the world. Are you sort of unhappy that that happened? Of course, but it's not the end of the world, and it's not going to be the end of the world for him either. He's going to have to learn, maybe like I have learned, if I open that email and go, oh, I don't have time to deal with this right now, I'll get back to it, I mark it as unread, right? So then I'll remember to come back to it later. That's exactly what they're going to have to learn to do, because again, got to get out of the email. Third thing, all of these years, like I said, Ryan knew he wanted to go to college, so I was really excited for him to go, and so I've been buying books, and anytime I'd see an article on, getting college autistic students ready for college, what do you got to do? Do this, do that. Guess what you have to do? You got to read them. If you order the book, you should probably read the book, and maybe not the day before he leaves, which is what I found myself doing. Oh my gosh, I got to find all these articles and get them ready. No, we have to sort of start getting them ready early. And, whether that's, again, teaching some self-advocacy skills. My son has a really, really hard time. And since he was in 2nd grade, we have struggled repeatedly with this, raising his hand going, yeah, you know what? I don't understand. I'm lost. I'm confused. For those of you who have autistic sons or daughters, you know that rigidity and that sort of need to be right, it makes the world a little more calming for them, right? So admitting that they're struggling or they're lost is difficult, or just initiating that conversation with the teacher. Hey, you know what? I'm kind of lost, right? So we had to talk about those self-advocacy things. I want you to know that on day 2 of college, he reached out to the folks who are running the program for students with autism. And he said, just look, I just want to let you know that some of the activities you have planned, I have a conflict with my schedule. Can you give me some ideas of how to work around that? And if there aren't any, is there any way we could develop some new activities that, I would be able to attend? I was dumbfounded. But I had to prep ahead of time. Again, I had to read those books, and I should have done that long before, the day before he left for college. Hello, Mark and Ben. I just want to say hi to you guys. I understand it is hard for them to find that balance. I do appreciate that. And it's hard. Like I said, want to land that helicopter somewhere else, but I don't want them to fail, right? We want to be there to support them. And we are still supporting them, just a little bit farther away than maybe we were. And he doesn't want my support, honestly. In fact, I sent him a text, apparently one too many, on Sunday. And then I sent him a dog video that I thought was funny. And he was like, I'm going to be gone for a long time. And I know you miss me, but you're really going to have to get your stuff together. Only he didn't say stuff. So it was his way of saying, back up, Mom, I got this. So other thing to think about. Now, tip number 4, if you are worried, if you're concerned about grades or you haven't heard from them for a while, we want them to be independent. They want to be independent. So maybe we check in with the residence assistant or a professor. If your son or daughter is like my kid who's out of college that has these supports, reach out to them, or the Office of Disability Services if they have some accommodations. Look, I want to know how he's doing, but I don't want him to feel like I'm checking up on him. Can somebody just kind of give me an idea? And in doing that, you may have to sign like a waiver when they go to school, because guess what? Your son or daughter is an adult now. They're not calling you. They're not reaching out to you. They're reaching out to them. So having that waiver kind of lets you, and it might just be about finances. Yeah, Ryan doesn't want to care who's paying the bill. He just wants the bill paid. We're looking at grades, all of those things. So getting that information ahead of time, checking in, but kind of not checking in all the time, but just, again, making sure they're doing well. And you got to remember, especially if they have these additional supports, they're going to reach out to you if they really think there's a problem, the staff member, and hopefully your son or daughter would as well. Tip number 5, guess what? I discovered 2 days before he left. There's all kinds of apps out there, right? That monitor your kid. And you think, I'm going to put this like Life 360 or one of these tracking apps on your phone because I'm doing it for safety, right? I mean, what if he got in the car with the wrong Uber driver? Or what if he took a bus and he went the wrong way? Or what if he lost his phone? That's why I'm doing it. Sure you are. You're doing it for that, but you're also going, oh my gosh, did he get up on time? Did he get out of bed? Has he moved from his dorm to his classroom? And let me tell you, I put the app on my phone. He knows it. He, agreed to it, gave me a cell phone. He knows it's on there. He can also check in on me if I'm not calling. He knows where Mom is. So this all works, all together. But I will tell you what happens is day 1 of class, I'm like, oh, okay. I wonder if he got up. Did he get up? I want to check. Don't want to do all these things I'm telling you. So I look at the tracking app and I'm like, oh, he's been in his dorm room since 11:58 a.m. yesterday. The panic starts to set in. I'll give him 5 minutes. I text him. Hey, dude, yep. Good luck today. Have great first day classes. Crickets. Nothing. Then I thought, okay, not answering. I'm going to call. Pick up the phone, call, no answer. Well, by now I'm in full-blown panic mode. I'm checking the app again. There's still no movement. He finally answers when I call the second time and goes, what? And I said, oh, I was just calling to see if you're up and wish you well on your first day of classes. And guess what? He had breakfast in his dorm room because he got milk the night before at the local store, had breakfast, had cereal and milk with the bowls and spoons we purchased him, did exactly as we talked about, and was on his way out the door. So what did that app do? It caused me extreme anxiety, a full-blown panic attack that was completely unnecessary because, go back to 1, I didn't trust him, right? So that trust in those apps, again, yeah, I get it. We want to know if our kid's safe, and I'm not saying they're all bad, but maybe you got to be like, okay, I'm going to check the app, once a day, or set up some kind of rule for yourself. Otherwise, you're going to make yourself crazy. Tip number 6. Again, all those books that I read, the articles I mentioned, sure, we can read those. We can help prepare them for school and what's going to happen. We can talk about the easy conversations, right? Managing money, how to do your laundry, keeping your bathroom clean so your suite mate's not grossed out by you, right? All of these things are important conversations to have, but it's also really important to have those uncomfortable conversations. And at 18, hopefully you've had some of those conversations, but now they're walking out the door to college. And guess what? Your helicopter's not hovering over them anymore. So we got to have the awkward conversations. We got to have the conversations about sex, about drugs, about alcohol. We have to talk to them. Ryan and I sat down 2 nights before he left, and he's never had a girlfriend. If you ask him, he's like, that's never going to happen. But you never know. It's in college. So we got to talk about safe sex. We got to talk about, if you get handed a red Solo cup at a party, what could be in it and how that could make you feel, and some ideas, some things to do if that does happen, who to call. Brian has an older brother. It was funny when we said our goodbyes, big brother got very choked up and he's like, if you get tired of annoying Mom calling you, call me. So have that backup plan. If it is a question, maybe they're not comfortable calling mom and dad about sex or about getting drunk at a party, see if there's a brother, if there's another friend, to do that to yourself. They can contact them again if they're not comfortable. Mark, I 100% agree with you. You said, why would you do those tracking apps? Yeah, you can see I didn't ever have one until 2 days ago. And now I'm wishing I wouldn't have got one, and I might end up taking it off my phone. In my mind, I'm a safety person, but I'm like, I don't think this is safety. I think it's just causing more panic. So I appreciate it. But yeah, you got to have those uncomfortable conversations too. And even, again, they're going to take in what they need to take in that moment. You might have to have those conversations again later. The second thing I will tell you, I mentioned, I have a Facebook page called The Honesty of Autism. I post on that pretty regularly. I've had followers who have followed me for years, have seen Ryan literally grow up, because I've had this page for almost 8 years. So they've seen this kid when he was in elementary school and going off to college. So he has so many fans and so many people cheering for him, which is great. But if I had to pick one theme of all the comments that was happening throughout, these college posts, it was hope. Oh my gosh, this gives me so much hope. Ryan's journey gives me hope for my son who's, starting kindergarten or who's 8 years old. Look, I want my kid's inspirational to me. The adversity he has overcome to get to college is incredible, right? I want him to be inspirational. I want him to be a source of hope for people. But you have to remember that hope looks different. I wrote a meme once on a photo for Ryan, and it said, the definition of bravery is knowing the world doesn't always understand you, but going out into it anyway. And boy, has he gone out in the world. And he's gone out with a big, giant push in the deep end from mom and me landing my helicopter over here. And so, yes, I want to celebrate those moments, but I want people to recognize that hope looks different for everybody. Not every kid who has autism or who doesn't have autism is going to go to college. Hope for your son or daughter might be having independence, having a job, living on their own, or just being happy and living a self-fulfilling, happy life. So you just got to keep that in mind, that not everybody's happiness, not everybody's version of success, not everybody's version of self-fulfillment is a 4-year college degree. So like I said, do I love that he's inspiring hope for people? Of course. Would I have wanted that if my son was when he was just diagnosed at 5, to think, wow, there are college programs for kids with autism? Of course. But that leads me to the next tip, which is remembering that comparison can be the thief of joy. As many of you, I'm sure, whether your child is younger or older, we've had to learn that, right? I mean, maybe you compare your son with autism to their neurotypical sibling. Oh, they're not developing at the same rate. They're not this, this child did this child did that. Or you're comparing them to their peers in middle school or high school. And you know what that does? It steals your joy, right? And it also kind of sets them up for an expectation you may have that might not be their joy. I mean, it took me a long time to realize that, what makes Ryan happy is not what makes me happy. My kid went to the homecoming dance 4 years in a row by himself. I sat in the parking lot crying, calling my friend, going, have the wine ready when I get home, because it was heartbreaking to me. But he was okay. He was okay going to that dance for an hour by himself. And we have to be okay with that too. So whether we're comparing, your friend's kiddo who's at college and you follow them on Instagram and you're seeing them outside socially distancing, right, at a party, or they're joining a fraternity or sorority, and that's not what your kid is doing, that's okay. If they're happy and they're doing well and they're adjusting, it's okay. And you also can't compare them to your college experience. Maybe you don't want them to. If you remember anything about college, maybe you don't want them to have the experience you had. But in order to parent from a distance, we do really have to stop that comparison, because it will. It brings you uncomfortableness. It might make you unhappy. And we have to remember, hey, you happy? Are you having a good time? Yep. Did you go out to any parties this week? Was there any activities? Nope. But I was happy in my room, playing my games, doing my homework. That's okay, because their happiness is not your happiness, right? One thing, tip number 9 I've had to learn as this whole kind of thing comes to sort of an end here: get out of the way. I had to get out of his way, because I have watched him adjust in these past 6 days in an amazing way. But I know his literal brain. His literal brain was, well, number 1, I'm not in college yet. And number 2, mom's here. She's reading emails. She's getting all my stuff ready. I don't need to do these things, right? So I have been dumbfounded by what he can do without me. I said to my sister, I'm like, well, I guess the only thing that was in his way was me. But she quickly reminded me that all of the advocating, all of the support that we do for them before they are ready to, take off and fly on their own is what has enabled them to kind of push us and kick us to the curb, right? Did I enable my kid? Oh gosh, yes, many, many times. Did I clip his wings just to keep him close because I was afraid of how the world might treat him, or that he might fall, or that he might fail? Absolutely. But guess what? Because I did that, those little baby steps, he's able to fly on his own now. And I'm able, again, to sort of land my helicopter over here. Am I going to trip and stumble? Yep. Am I going to go in and still check that email occasionally? Probably. Am I going to annoy him with texts going, haven't heard from you in a few days, are you okay? Absolutely. But most of the time, I really do need to get out of his way because he really does want to do this on his own. And this brings me to my final point. Yeah, I know I told you it's time for you to sort of land your helicopter a little farther away than you ever had, whether that's 70 miles away because your kid's at college, or if it's 5 minutes down the street because they're in an apartment for their first time. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It feels uncomfortable for me. It's probably going to feel uncomfortable for them for a while. I mean, Ryan kept saying this is a lot of change. And we know our individuals with autism, they really struggle with change. They like things to be the same. There's a whole lot of change when they either move out, start a new job, go to college. It's going to look different for everybody. But we all know that we never really decommission those helicopters, do we? We might land it a little farther away, but they're always there, ready to kind of be fired up again if we need it, if we need to hover a little bit closer, and there probably will be. I mean, my kid's been at school for 6 days. When the work starts really piling up, he might have a little bit more of a struggle. I might have to kind of hover a little bit more, making sure things are done, but I'm going to have to go back to all those 1 through 9s about trusting him, about checking his emails, about maybe checking in with staff instead of checking in with him. Because like I said, there will be bumps in the road, but while we're able to kind of helicopter and parent from a distance, we need to soak up all those feelings, because honestly, they've earned it. You've earned it. We have all earned it. So it's been, like I said, an amazing experience so far for him. I'm really, really excited and looking forward to seeing kind of what comes next. Like I said, I've been trying to stay out of emails. He was able to he got into a choral group. He really is doing amazingly, doing really, really well. And like I said, we just all as parents need to kind of learn to when we have to hover and when we don't. I was looking here, Mark, thank you for celebrating those small victories. It is, I mean, whether it's a small victory or a big one, I mean, college is huge, right? And whether it's an email, responding to an email, heck, I was excited he went and got milk to put in his bowl of cereal, right? It's exciting to know. His birthday is on Saturday, so we will be heading up there on Saturday to celebrate his birthday and maybe hover just for like a little minute, right? But if anybody has any questions, I will happily hang out here for a little while. Again, to all of you parents who maybe still hovering over, that's okay, because you're going to be able to hover later, hopefully. And if you can't, that's okay too, because, every individual with autism or any, son or daughter who has a disability, they're all different and we have to parent them differently. And again, this is how it's worked out for Ryan. Doesn't necessarily mean that's how it's going to work out for the next kid, but whatever their dream is, whatever their aspiration is, you as a parent will be able to, kind of do what you need to do close by and take a step back when you need to. And number one, trust them. Trust, trust, trust. So if anybody doesn't have any questions, I think we will sign off here. Thank you for joining us today. Very grateful. As I said, Ryan knows everything I share about him. I probably share this video, he'll roll his eyes at me and tell me I need to get a grip again. But thank you so much for being here today. And if anyone has any questions, you want to reach out to me on my Honesty of Autism Facebook page. I always respond to folks, and would be grateful for to follow or just to reach out and say hi. I would love that. Take care, everybody. Stay well. Have hope, and don't compare. Don't compare. Don't compare. Thank you so much, and have a good day.